Wow, what a welcome. That was amazing. I hope I live up to it. And I'm glad to be here, even though there are no hot tubs overlooking the cliffs. So, are you having a wonderful time? Yes? This is just a fabulous conference, run, as you know, by wonderful people, and I feel so privileged to be back. And also so privileged to have been sponsored by the Komen Foundation and the Lynn Lectures. One of the most amazing things to me about being in this field is that not only do people who have cancer change very often in a way that they may not have changed any other way, as David's song told us, but their families change. And the Lynn Lectures were started by Lynn's husband and have been all around the country. And so I'm so happy to explore the heart of healing, which is really what the Lynn Lectures, I think, came out of. So it's not night, it's morning, but I really didn't want to change a Hafez poem. I thought we'd leave it as it was. Been around for a long time. So the subject this morning, tonight, is love, and for tomorrow night as well. As a matter of fact, I know of no better topic for us to discuss until we all die. So this is what we're going to look at. We're exploring today love. So I heard you had a wonderful lecture with Dr. Nestle, and she said even in India they're exporting our junk food. And I was indeed in India in February in the Mumbai airport, and here they were advertising the heart of healing. They'd kind of co-opted it a little bit. It's a Coca-Cola ad, and it says, "A mighty ocean we're not, but we are the little drops that make one, because small things go a long way at Coca-Cola India. We believe that there's more to a little sip. It's a moment of truth, a second of satisfaction, an instant of happiness, a bubble of hope, because we don't just quench your thirst, we recharge your soul. For one moment, one drop at a time, Coca-Cola India, little drops of joy." So this is more or less what we'll be discussing. In India, there's also a lot of practice of the heart of healing. So this was my 5th trip, and I think I'll go to India many more times, because there's something about the country that always sustains and surprises me, and it really is the heart of the people. On one of my other trips, I was spending about 3 weeks in an ashram in village India, and I got to know one of the women who lived in the village and who spoke English. And one day we struck up a conversation about spirituality and the difference in Indian culture and American culture. And she asked me a series of questions. She said, and by the way, I have to preface this by saying that had I hawked my engagement ring and the clothes in my suitcase, that village could have lived for a year on the proceeds. The poverty is really stunning, unbelievable. Many women who have one sari, and they wash it out and they put it back. And anyhow, she said, "I've heard that in your country, when you have children, oftentimes you work and leave them with strangers. Is that true?" And I thought of my own children, because it certainly was true as a working mother. And then she said, "I hear that sometimes you live in big apartment buildings and you don't even know the people next door. Is that true?" And I said, "No, it's definitely true." And then she said, "Your parents, when they age, is it true that sometimes you put them away somewhere and somebody else takes care of them?" And I said, "Well, that's true too." And her eyes filled with tears, and she put her hand on her heart. And then she said, "You're materially rich, but spiritually poor. And I'd like you to know that many of us pray for you. So that was a very, very different approach to life. And what so struck me was her compassion. So, of course, most of us know Mother Teresa, all of us do, and the work that she did in Calcutta and throughout India. And when I was getting interested in the heart of healing, actually, when I was first studying psychoneuroimmunology on that third postdoc, and thank you, Dr. Gallagher, for pronouncing it right, because I cannot tell you how many times I get introduced as a psychic numerologist. So I was studying with a wonderful health psychologist that some of you might know, and he's since passed on, and that was Dr. David McClelland. And this was quite a number of years ago now, before the advent of positive psychology, that David had already dreamed it up. And he said, why do we always study stress or study the most difficult things in life? Why doesn't anyone study love and the things that sustain us, the things that give us joy? So my job as a postdoc was to go to the video store and find a video that would evoke feelings of love so that we could feel the felt sense in a laboratory and measure what happened when that emotion of love actually, of course, would change the brain, release hormones, and change our bodies. Well, I had a great time. It was the first time in many years that I was actually paid to watch videos day in and day out for quite some time. But I couldn't find a good video, because most of the videos, it was about love, about loss, about all those things. So David suggested that we use a documentary of Mother Teresa. And this, of course, is a picture of her with a tiny little baby. And there's a little bit in that video where she has this child who has failure to thrive syndrome, and she's just holding it. She's just in those great big hands. She had such big hands. And looking at that child with so much love that it had a spastic condition, and its limbs just relaxed, and the baby smiled. And the sense you had is maybe it was the first time that child had ever smiled. And there was something there. So this was the beginning, I think, of research on love. And what we found was that when our research subjects saw this video, we were measuring salivary secretory immunoglobulin A, SIGA, and it increased significantly after viewing the film. Then when